i35 farms. I like to say I'm probably one of the oldest beginning farmers in the state of Iowa as far as i35 farms is myself and my wife Melody. We started farming in the Mason City, Clear Lake area in 2020, and farm in Franklin County and Cerro Gordo County. We're farming corn and soybeans. I grew up in Kansas and worked on some wheat farms in Kansas, wheat and milo, off and on a little bit, but ended up in petroleum engineering down in Texas, and I did that for 5 years, and then ended up transferring from that to the restaurant industry, and we've been building from the ground up our own concepts, different restaurants in a couple different states, mainly now in the Des Moines area, and we've done that for 30 years. But I met my wife Melody a number of years ago, and her family is multi-generational farmers, multi-generational farming family. So with that background, we were able to jump into i35 farms a few years ago, and just like working outdoors and like farming, and so just transitioning to this and really enjoying it. Yeah. My mother-in-law and father-in-law are moving towards retirement, and as I said, the family, my in-laws are multi-generational farmers, and so now me and my wife Melody are farming with her brother, and we've started what's called Century Farms, so the three of us farm that together, and then he also has his own farming operation beyond that as well. I think what we're most concerned about is just the uncertainty in the world, as we've experienced in the last year, is with the war in Ukraine and others, just the availability of the inputs that we need to grow the crops. We weren't sure whether we'd have fertilizer or not, then we were able to get it, but of course, the price, was very elevated, and with this year's the most expensive crop that's ever been put in. It's just, as far as farming is a risk, but there's risk versus reward. It's a gamble, but that's part of what makes it exciting. But that's one of the biggest challenges, is probably just to make sure we've got an adequate supply readily available of the chemicals, the fertilizers, and the seed and so forth. Being farming, it's being seasonal, so it's getting harder and harder to find people that want to work, just seasonally versus full time. And we cover a lot of ground, so it takes a lot of people to be able to do that, and especially since, post-pandemic, it's just become even harder to find an adequate labor force that we need for spring planting, but especially for the fall harvest time. So we had to reach out to the H2A program, and which has worked really well for us. With the labor issues that we're facing, we're getting more into the robotics, more into, for lack of a better word, driverless tractors and other equipment, and see that really evolving rather rapidly. Yeah.